Hey y'all, it's Stephanie of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast again, live at Comic-Con. This is the last day, and I'm sitting here with a special guest. So I'm going to have you introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Derek Huffman from Montgomery, Alabama, now residing in Birmingham, and yeah.
Okay, so you're from Montgomery.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Montgomery is a beautiful city. Like I really like Montgomery. Anytime I've gone, I just like being there, but especially on Alabama State campus because my boyfriend actually attended there.
So did I. That's why I got my degree in bachelor's. I'm in my bachelor's in business management.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations. That's cool. I got my bachelor's of arts degree from Berea College in Kentucky. So, but Alabama State really was a strong second choice for me because I had family go. My mama went and my auntie went. So I was raised with the whole black and gold mentality. Oh, yes, but, I just ultimately chose to go somewhere else. But I still love Alabama State. Shout out to you guys. I love you guys so much. I love HBCUs. So, I know when we met off camera, was it yesterday or was it Friday? When we met off camera Friday, you were at the Blurred Over table, and shout out to them. You had so many opinions about wrestling, and I was just like, he has such strong opinions. I need to get him on camera immediately, so he needs to come up here. So when did you fall in love with wrestling?
All right, my first time with wrestling was I want to say in 2008. I don't know how I got a copy of it, but I had a SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, and me and my cousin would play it on the PS2, and I'm like, okay, what is this world? I don't know what it is, but I want to know more about it. So after playing SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, I started watching it, and on the game, my favorite wrestler was Batista. Mm-hmm. But then as I started watching it, I became a fan of the Rated R Superstar Edge. Mm-hmm. And since I started watching Edge, following him, he became my favorite wrestler. I had his book, his figures, his DVDs, and I just been a fan of wrestling ever since. Just off one game on a PS2.
Usually since I've been here at Comic-Con, a lot of people have been talking about the video games. And I'm not really a video game person because I really wasn't fully interested in the world of video games, but I know people who were. And it is a very, valid fan base, behind video games, and it's a very strong following, just like in wrestling. And when it, dabbles into that, when you have both of those worlds, coming together, it's cool because you can customize all the moves and stuff and everything. And I watch a lot of people, including my boyfriend, play those video games a lot of the time. And it's really interesting. So that's a very valid way to get into wrestling. It's really cool because it makes it a little bit more interactive. But, the fan base of wrestling is pretty interactive in and of itself. So it's cool when you combine both of those worlds together. It kind of reminds me of the New Day and their channel Up Up Down Down with Xavier Woods and how he loves video games and his story with how it helped him, feel like he was really good at something and how he was able to turn that into its own brand, which I really admire him for. Plus, we share the same birthday, so gotta have that Virgo power. We were both born on September 4th, just like Beyonce. So it's great. So, what is it exactly about wrestling that sort of kept you interested?
The story, I know when Edge retired, I thought I wasn't gonna watch him, but I still stayed strong to it. Then his return, but it's just seeing where the WWE is gonna go, where it's gonna go in the future. But now it's starting to dwindle down. They're releasing a lot of people. It's now starting a lot of people now turning more toward AEW now. Mm-hmm. And I know when Booker T came to My Hero Con a few months ago up here in Birmingham, he was like, all the people he's training, they'd rather go to AEW over WWE. And I just feel like, I don't know what WWE has going on, but they're not using people the correct way. It's a lot of good talent that was at WWE that we looked at as, oh, this guy sucks. And then he went to AEW and they're using him the right way. And you're like, oh, he's actually kind of fire.
Yeah, I understand that sentiment because I know as a wrestling journalist, it really was disheartening to see a lot of people get let go from there who you kind of was hoping would actually get their foot in the door in WWE and have a strong presence, especially if they came through the NXT brand. And then they would look so strong in the NXT brand only to be brought up to the main roster and not really do a whole lot with them. And it's just Yeah, it's really, disappointing, and it's really sad because you see somebody like Keith Lee, who they tried, so many different transformations and iterations of characters for him, only for him, to be let go. And it's just kind of sad after that. But, the thing about wrestling is that a lot of those released people were able to land on their feet and find other places to wrestle, like Impact or like and AEW. And it's great that they have that opportunity to continue doing what they love, even though it's not on the big stage like WWE. The way I think about WWE, I think about WWE like the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus. Like when that was the circus, that was the circus. It's the oldest one, right? But then you also have the Universal Circus, that's for kind of everybody else like us, like in the hood and the urban people. And then you have other shows that people might like as well. So that's kind of how I see it. And even though I don't know exactly what's going on with WWE myself, because I'm not so much on the inside, but at the same time, they are undergoing some changes, but even with those changes, you still stick with it and love it as much as you can. So yeah, do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, like, and there's lots of like Velveteen Dream. Like I know he was they about to blow him up too. Like he was set up to be the next big thing. Right. Edge, Kevin Owens, like all the top wrestlers, like he's gonna be the face. And then even though he wasn't accused of anything, WWE say he was good, they released him due to the budget cuts. But he was supposed to be the face. I'm like I hate to see like a lot of good talent like just get thrown away, especially like people like who look like us. Even though now we're like seeing more people like us get the title now, which is like the first time in a long ever, because like we don't really count The Rock, or we don't The Rock. It was mainly just The Rock who held the title. Then Kofi Kofi made history getting it in 2019, and now Bobby Lashley's second person, now Big E. So it's good to see that we're getting more representation in WWE. But I just feel like WWE, like NXT for instance, it was better under Triple H. Like when Triple H was over NXT, it was the show everybody went to, and now that Vince is over it, I noticed I watched NXT one time, it was like it's not as good.
Yeah, NXT is kind of going through a transformational period with their 2.0 thing, and in actuality is not really, even though a lot of websites say it's Vince McMahon running it, it's actually Shawn Michaels running it in absence of Triple H, because Triple H was having health issues. Like his heart, he had a heart problem, so he actually had to get surgery and just try to get that fixed, and that's why he's been gone, because he's been trying to take it easy. And I understand that it's been kind of hard to sort of accept the change, because NXT was so strong for such a long time. So when something comes in and changes it, you're just kind of like, oh, what is that? But I've sort of been trying to still give it a little bit more of a chance, and it's still pretty good for the most part, because you do have really solid characters there. Like you have a Carmelo Hayes, who's the NXT North American champion, and Trick Williams, who's his best friend. They basically have a lot of vibes that remind you of Martin Lawrence and Will Smith in their comedy, but they're really solid wrestlers too. And then there's just a lot of changes that are going on. But the thing about wrestling is that you can still, find something that fits you. So, yeah. I want to ask you, how do you feel about the state of wrestling now, or really like the state of female wrestling? Because I haven't really heard you talk about the women.
Right now, because I know we talked about Ronda Rousey the other day.
Yeah.
I'm kind of concerned on how they're about to go about that, because like the last time Ronda Rousey had a run in WWE, the fans hated it because she made the whole division look weak. She ran through the entire, like if it was a regular, unless it was a pay-per-view, it was like a regular Monday Night Raw match. She ran through the Divas division in less than 2-3 minutes and like just beat them. Like they wouldn't barely get a lick in or anything. They'll probably punch her one time, she'll get angry, flip them, armbar, end the story, tap out. Or her promos, when she would cut a promo on Monday, the minute they was trying to push her over as a babyface, but nobody liked her. So when they would boo her and cheer the heel, she would get choked up on her promo, start stuttering, or just that one event she didn't finish her promo at all and just stopped talking altogether, and because the crowd pretty much booed her to the point she couldn't even talk anymore. So like, I saw that, and the fact that they brought her back at Royal Rumble after being gone for like over 2 years, after being gone that long, you bring her back, let her win the Rumble over all the divas that been here all this time, busting their ass for this title, this chance, and you just give it straight to her. And I feel like they're gonna give her the title off rip, like they're just gonna give it to her. And I feel like that's not fair to the divas that's there 24/7, working, doing hard for the company, and they're getting overlooked for what is it, MMA? What if she was one on MMA? What if she?
Yeah, she was a UFC fighter, a former UFC bantamweight champion.
And I just hate what WWE do with these UFC fighters. They bring them in and give them everything they want without them having to really work for it. Like when Ronda first came in, she was not ready to be in the ring. Everybody saw it. She could not really wrestle. Like she couldn't really wrestle back then when she first came in, and yet they gave her the title.
Yeah, I understand that sentiment, because I know while watching the Royal Rumble, it's like the minute she made her entrance, I kind of felt what was about to happen, even though I was kind of happy to see her, because I loved Ronda Rousey from her UFC days. And she would always talk about her fandom, of WWE, which I really appreciated, because I love it when other people in other sports talk about, how much they love, wrestling. Like, I love that. So when she was actually able to come in and she made her debut after the first women's Royal Rumble to take place in 2018, I was happy to see her, but I wasn't necessarily sure how exactly that was going to work. But she was fighting everyone and beating everyone, as you did say, and kind of running through the division, with the exception of a few other women who would give her like a quality match, and be able to carry her through the match. But at the same time, aside from those people, even like Sasha Banks and so many other people, it's like she would kind of just run through them within a matter of seconds on Raw. I remember those. And when you brought that to my attention yesterday, and I was just like, but yeah, it's true. But at the same time, even now, like, I would have preferred, and I've said this on my show, that I would have preferred if Ronda Rousey did return, like she returned maybe after the Royal Rumble match or before, and didn't have to participate in it, because there were lots of women who could have utilized that opportunity for the Raw Women's Championship or the SmackDown Women's Championship. Like, they could have built up their locker room that was already there in a much better way. And I completely understand that sentiment. But she is there, and she has chosen Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's title, which leaves Becky Lynch to fight Lita at Elimination Chamber next Saturday. But then, regardless of who wins that match, you still have someone, that they're looking for at Elimination Chamber to fight to become number one contender in the cage. So, and that's either Bianca or Liv or just some other women on Raw as well. So it's kind of crazy, and I completely understand that sentiment. I get it. I get that frustration, because you have all these other fighters come in, and then you're just like, what about the others? I totally get it. So
I feel like Ronda couldn't really beat Charlotte, because like when they had that one match, I feel like WWE wanted Charlotte to get disqualified, because Charlotte was winning that match, so there was no reason for Charlotte to hit Ronda with a chair. It didn't make any sense. I guess because they wanted to say, I guess they didn't want her to beat Ronda clean, so they had to give Ronda the win through disqualification. I'm like, Charlotte was winning this match. Like, what was her point in doing that?
Yeah, that was a good match. That was Survivor Series, I believe. Yeah, because that was one where Becky was supposed to fight her, but then she got injured because Nia Jax hit her in the nose and broke her nose, and they didn't clear her to compete. Even though Nia did say in an interview last week with Renee Young / Renee Paquette that Becky took it like a champ, which is kind of what you have to do in that business. You take it like a champ. But at the same time, that I feel like that match between Ronda and Charlotte was really good, for brand versus brand. But yeah, Charlotte did hit her with a chair, and that did make Ronda still look unnecessarily strong. Yeah, that's true. You have a lot of valid points when it comes to Ronda. It's just painful. It's painful for me to hear and accept, because I love her from a deep place, but I get it.
There was no need for Charlotte to do that. Like, Charlotte was mainly dominating that match. Because like I said, around that time, Ronda could not wrestle. Like, it wasn't. That's not even me being biased against her. Like, it was a fact. Like, she would do stuff in the ring, and you'd be like, okay, what? Like that's. I feel like that's why all her matches were fast, because they knew she couldn't really last that long. Then I remember the match that pissed everybody off was when she went against Ruby Riott, and she beat Ruby Riott in under a minute, and I'm another trend. She deserves better.
Yeah, and now she's Ruby Soho at AEW, so there is that. Now, what I do want to ask you is, who is your favorite female wrestler? If you have one, who is your favorite female wrestler right now or from the past?
Shit, damn. I feel like back in the day it was between Kelly and Melina, or and Mickey James. It was between those three back in the day.
That's a pretty solid favorite. You know, Kelly actually did come back for the Royal Rumble, and so did Melina as well. And Mickey, all three of them actually. And then Mickey James she's currently the Impact Knockouts champion, and she made history being, one of the first people to jump from one brand to the other and participate in the Rumble. And I was interested in that because I kind of wanted to see, if she was going to be able to fight, for title. That would have been interesting. But sadly, alas, it didn't happen. But it's okay. But that doesn't make her, any less of a champion. So that was cool. But now she has to fight Tasha Steelz. So, yeah, it's still going to be interesting. But I did like that element. And then seeing Melina, stand off. Yeah, hit the split and stand off with, Sasha. Like, that's something I would be interested in seeing, seeing those two fight, and seeing Sasha and Mickey James, because they did allude to that on Twitter a few weeks ago, saying, this could very well happen, and I believe it. It could. It would be cool.
I would love to see like a Survivor Series, but with AEW and WWE. And I know a lot of people like to see that, like MJF versus The Miz, because like they're kind of like CM Punk called. I remember CM Punk called MJF like a week ago less famous Miz. So I would love to see them two, John Cena and Kenny Omega. Like, I don't know however they want to mix it, but I would love to see a AEW WWE Survivor Series and let them actually go at it and see best team wins.
Yeah, that would be incredible. That's a way to not really smash open that forbidden door. Because I know Mickey James did kind of just boom and knock on it and they let her in. But I feel like if they did a whole invasion angle like they did with WCW or something like that with WWE, that would make the internet explode. And I would probably have to take a break from all of my wrestling jobs for maybe 2 weeks. If that happened, it would just be too much. It would be too much traffic. It would just be too much everything, and I would just have to take a break and just do it fast.
Both companies would make a lot of money from that if they were to do that. Cause I see fans on Twitter saying they would love to see cause that's why I first heard of MJF versus The Miz. I'm like, who is MJF? Now I watched him, I'm like, oh, he is kind of just like The Miz, like his character and everything, and like seeing like the mixture of people they want people to go against each other. I'm like, that'd be fun. Then supposed to see him Punk. His return to wrestling, as everybody thought would never happen.
Right. Wasn't that goosebumps inducing?
Because at first I thought he was coming at WWE because he came back for that small period of 2-3. He came back for like a month in 2020 to do like commentator work. Then he left again and popped up in AEW out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was WWE Backstage he returned to, and that was a Fox show. So he kind of returned to WWE quasi, but not really. But that still exploded the internet. Even still. He's just a very polarizing figure when it comes to wrestling. But I was happy to see him return to AEW because I never thought him return to a wrestling ring would ever happen.
He never would.
Right, and then he was living a happy life, right? He was, writing for comic books, doing horror movies and stuff like that. He was, and commentating for Bellator MMA. So he was doing okay without wrestling, but he just chose to come back, and he wanted to come back his way, and he did it his way. And that's something that I do respect about him, is that he does stuff his way, not nobody else's way, but his own way. So what I do want to ask you though is, my last question is, do you have a hot take for how wrestling is going to go over the next couple of months, seeing as WrestleMania is coming up?
I like what they're doing with Roman Reigns and his character, like the head of the table. I like that. I hope they don't hold him and have Goldberg beat him from the match that we were supposed to get last WrestleMania 2 years ago, but we didn't due to Roman's health. I just hope what they're doing on SmackDown right now is good. I just hope WWE as a whole can get everything together, and because I heard a rumor they're bringing Patrick Velveteen Dream back. I hope that's true. Cause I saw it earlier. I hope that's true, because he was really, his character, what he did, nobody did. His Prince character was unmatched, and he put on a show, and he really should have won that Strong Tough Enough. But like, I just hope WWE just gets better. Like, whatever's going on with them, they just get it together.
Yeah, those are really strong opinions, and I really appreciate that. You're the second person who sat down and said they really enjoy what's happening with Roman Reigns and stuff. So I think that's a testament to the hard work that he's doing as a character who started off being, in the Shield, and then now he's finding his way as, taking his place as a tribal chief. So it's good. Well, thank you so much for sitting with me and talking with me. I'm so glad we met Friday, and I'm so happy we were able to have this discussion about wrestling. So if you could just tell the people where they can find you and follow you, and at this time you can do so now.
You can find me on my main page at Huffman_DM, or on my 90s page at Dats_so_nostalgic.
Thank you so much for sitting with me and talking with us at the Hardy Wrestling Podcast live at Comic-Con.